Snow blanketed the quiet ranch outskirts, turning every tree and fence post into icy sculptures. A small group approached cautiously. A woman named Lila and her 3 children carrying a tiny basket of carefully saved food. The youngest, a boy named Toby, clutched the basket, trembling. The rancher, Grayson Hale, stood near the barn, lone figure with rugged features and piercing eyes, watching silently from the distance. Toby's voice cracked as he stepped forward. "Please, don't take our food. We saved all day for this." Lila's heart pounded, her palms sweaty. The other 2 children hid behind her, wary of the tall man. Grayson's gaze softened slightly, but his face remained stoic. Snow swirled around them as he took a slow step closer, boots crunching in the crisp frost, examining the modest meal as if weighing their lives against it. Lila swallowed her fear. "Sir, we're just trying to feed the kids. We don't have money or shelter." Grayson tilted his head, reading their expressions like an open book. He'd seen hunger before. And loneliness. He stepped fully into the snow, his coat dusted with frost. "You risked coming here for scraps in this storm?" he asked quietly. Toby nodded, holding the basket tighter, shivering from cold and fear. Grayson exhaled slowly, the warm breath visible in the icy air. "I don't often take anyone in," he admitted, voice low and deliberate. Lila felt her knees weaken. The rancher's eyes flicked to the children, then back to the basket. He crouched slightly, looking each child in the eye. "But no one should go hungry," he murmured, almost to himself. "Especially not kids who risk everything to save food for their family." Toby's small hands trembled as he stepped closer, offering the basket to Grayson. The rancher reached out, touched the side lightly, not taking, just acknowledging. "You worked hard for this," he said, "and I respect that." The little boy exhaled, a mix of relief and disbelief flooding his tiny face. Lila's eyes glistened. Unsure if this was kindness or trickery, but her instincts told her to trust this man who radiated quiet strength. Grayson motioned toward the barn. "Come inside. Warmth first, then food." Lila hesitated. The children clung to her coat, wary of leaving their precious basket behind. Grayson smiled faintly. "It stays with me. No harm will come to it." The sound of wind against the wooden beams was deafening, yet inside the barn, a tentative warmth already seeped from the hearth. Slowly she stepped forward. Inside, the barn smelled of hay and smoke, surprisingly cozy despite the chill outside. Grayson set the basket down gently, then gestured to a small table. "Sit. Eat what you can." Lila and the children hesitated, then carefully began to divide the food. Toby's hands shook as he broke bread. Grayson watched quietly, leaning against a post, silent sentinel. He was a man of few words, but his presence spoke volumes. After a few bites, the children began to relax, their eyes brightening. Toby looked up at Grayson. Why are you helping us?" The rancher's jaw tightened slightly. He avoided the question, pouring water into a tin cup for the kids. "You've worked hard. That's enough reason." Lila whispered. "You're different from everyone else." Grayson didn't answer, focusing instead on the fire, letting the warmth fill the silence. The snowstorm outside intensified. Wind whipped against the barn walls. Lila wrapped her children closer, feeling a strange comfort in Grayson's calm presence. He finally spoke, voice deeper than before. "I've lost family before. Children. I know what it's like to see helplessness in their eyes." The words hit Lila like a shard of truth. She hadn't realized how weary he looked until that moment, a man hardened by loss yet softened by empathy. Toby glanced up again, curiosity overriding his fear. "Are we safe?" Grayson crouched down, eye level with him. "Safe," he said firmly. "For as long as you need." The children exchanged glances, unsure if such protection truly existed. Lila felt tears prick her eyes. Could one man really offer what she had been searching for all her life? In the warmth of the barn, she dared to hope. Evening settled over the ranch. Grayson moved around efficiently, stacking hay, lighting more lanterns, ensuring the barn was secure. The children marveled silently, their fears fading with each small act. Lila found herself smiling despite the storm outside. "Thank you," she whispered, barely audible. Grayson didn't reply immediately, simply observing the children as they started to eat more confidently. Night fell and snow muffled the world outside. Grayson laid out blankets near the hearth for the children. "Sleep here," he said quietly. The youngest clutched his mother. The girls huddled beside them. Lila watched, her heart thudding. She had never trusted a stranger so quickly. But Grayson's quiet steadiness, his unwavering care made her feel, finally, that tomorrow might bring more than survival. As the children drifted into sleep, Lila spoke softly, voice trembling. "You didn't have to take us in." Grayson glanced at her, eyes shadowed. "No," he admitted. "I didn't, but someone had to." His words were simple, yet heavier than any storm outside. She felt the weight of his past, the sacrifices made silently. For the first time in a long while, she felt safe, truly safe. Outside, the snow continued to fall, but inside the barn, warmth and hope mingled. Grayson settled against the wall, watching the three children sleep. Lila approached, whispering, How can you care so much for strangers?" He didn't answer immediately. Then softly, almost to himself, he said, "Because I know what it's like to have nothing, and find something worth holding on to." Silence enveloped the barn, comforting as the firelight. Morning broke with a pale sun struggling through clouds. The children stirred, rubbing sleep from their eyes. Grayson was already moving around the barn, feeding the horses and stacking firewood. Lila watched quietly, amazed at his effortless care. He paused, noticing her gaze. "Coffee?" he asked, voice gentle. She nodded. In that quiet moment, the storm outside seemed far away, replaced by warmth, security, and the faintest hint of trust. Toby peeked out of the blankets. "Will the storm come back?" Grayson smiled faintly. "Storms always come, but we'll be ready." He knelt, brushing snow from the boy's hair. The two girls followed, curiosity overtaking sleepiness. Grayson's hands were rough yet careful as he adjusted their blankets. Lila marveled at his patience. For a man who lived alone, he moved around them as if they had always belonged there. Breakfast was simple, oatmeal with a bit of honey and warm bread. The children ate eagerly, grateful, yet cautious. Lila whispered softly, "We've never eaten like this before." Grayson poured more milk, watching them. "Hunger changes a person," he said quietly. "But so does safety." He glanced at Lila. "You fought hard for them today. That counts more than any storm or hunger." She nodded, feeling a fragile bond forming. Suddenly, distant shouts echoed across the snowy valley. Lila stiffened. The storm outside had brought people seeking mischief, maybe the same men who had turned them away the day before. Grayson's eyes narrowed. "Stay inside," he said, motioning to the children. He strode outside, tall and fearless, snow crunching under his boots. Lila's heart raced, fearing the confrontation, but trusting the man who had already risked so much for them. 3 men approached, faces twisted with greed. "That's our food," one shouted, pointing at the basket left near the barn door. Grayson's voice cut the cold air. "It belongs to them now." The men laughed, stepping closer, but Grayson didn't flinch. He reached for a rope, then paused, calm as ice. "I'm giving you one chance to leave. Otherwise, you leave everything behind, including dignity." The storm wind seemed to echo his words. The men hesitated, sensing the quiet power behind Grayson's stance. The children peered from the window, their fear giving way to awe. Lila whispered, "He's protecting us." The oldest girl clutched her mother's hand, understanding that this man was unlike anyone they'd ever met. The men muttered curses, then retreated grudgingly, leaving the snow disturbed but the family safe. Lila exhaled, relief washing over her. The adrenaline faded, replaced by exhaustion. Lila gathered the children close, brushing snow from their coats. "Thank you," she whispered. Grayson didn't answer, simply placing a protective hand on Toby's shoulder. "You're safe," he said, softer this time. "For now." The children smiled tentatively, realizing for the first time that warmth and protection didn't have to come with fear. Trust began to bloom quietly in the barn. As afternoon light filtered through the frosted windows, Lila shared stories of her children's laughter and fears. Grayson listened, surprisingly attentive, occasionally nodding. He revealed nothing of his own past, but his gestures, handing blankets, checking the fire, spoke volumes. The children laughed softly for the first time, making snow angels outside while Grayson watched, a silent guardian in the distance. Evening brought golden hues, casting long shadows across the barn. Grayson and Lila sat by the fire, the children asleep on quilts. She dared to ask, "Why us? Why help complete strangers?" Grayson met her gaze, eyes deep and honest. "I lost people once," he said quietly, "and I can't save the past, but I can save the present. You and these kids, this is a chance to do right finally." Her heart fluttered with a mix of gratitude and awe. The night was calm, save for the occasional howl of wind outside. Lila watched him move around, preparing bedding for the children and placing hot water for tea. "You've been alone a long time," she said gently. Grayson paused. "Long enough to know what matters," he replied. She nodded, understanding. That action spoke louder than words. For the first time, she felt the world had room for kindness, even for strangers like them. A sudden movement woke Toby briefly. He blinked at Grayson, sleepy but curious. "Will you stay with us?" he asked softly. The rancher's jaw tightened for a fraction of a second before he nodded. "As long as you need," he said. Lila's chest tightened, tears threatening. She realized the rancher's solitude was giving way to a new family, fragile but undeniable, and that hope was finally finding a home. The fire crackled, children nestled against their mother and each other. Lila whispered, "We don't know how to repay you." Grayson shook his head, gaze softening. "No repayment needed," he said. "The world takes enough. Consider this a chance to breathe." Outside, snow shimmered under the moonlight, while inside, warmth, laughter, and safety filled the barn, a sanctuary built from courage, trust, and quiet heroism. Morning light seeped through the frost-covered windows. The children awoke, stretching and giggling. Lila watched Grayson handle chores with effortless care. "You don't just protect us," she said. "You make this place alive." He shrugged, modestly. "It's not me, it's the promise of family. It's what they deserve, and what I needed too." The barn felt alive, not with wood or snow, but with love forming silently, imperceptibly, yet permanently. By midday, the storm had passed completely. The barn doors opened to a bright, clear landscape. Lila held her children close, smiling at Grayson. "We're staying?" she asked softly. He nodded, eyes warm. "As long as you want. You're part of this now." The children cheered, rushing to him. Snowflakes clung to their hair, but hearts were warm. And for the first time in years, the lonely rancher, the tired mother, and 3 children had something they'd never had, a family.